What would happen if Game of Thrones had a season 9? If final season hadn't been the final season, perhaps fans wouldn't be so furious about what went down, even if they still didn't care for how fast major events happened. If you squint long, so call it professional fanfic, but we've gone ahead and imagined what a season 9 might have looked like based on the dangling threads left open by the end of season 8. And you know what? 1. The Battle of the It's no secret that Daenerys Targaryen's transformation into the Mad. What if Drogon took her east? Who could summon Daenerys' fellow fire lover, the Lord of Light, to revive her? We know Resurrection 2. Arya's Academy. Anytime someone sets sail for an exciting conquest on this show, terrible things tend to happen to them, so that would probably be the case for Arya Stark. Instead of of course, she could also wind up back in Braavos at the House of Black and White, training the world's newest stealth assassins. She's always Arya's not the only one leaving Westeros in the Game of Thrones finale. Grey Worm is up 4. The Trout and the Wolf. Sansa Stark straight up embarrassed her uncle Edmure Tully during the Dragon Pit Summit when she told him to please. For one thing, Arya made an enemy of Yara Greyjoy and the Iron Islands when she threatened to slit her throat for wanting to condemn Jon, and we don't know how the new Prince of Dorne feels about the death of the Queen Head pledged fealty to. House Glover. May 5. The council collapsed. The small council in King's Landing has always been a messy gathering of competing interests, but now somehow, it's impossible to know what kind of king Bran Stark will be. But one thing's for sure, he's shown us that he doesn't have very much empathy or concern for loss of life since becoming the Three-Eyed Raven, and he might be more power-hungry than he initially let on. Even Tyrion looks. The fact that Bran's first order of business is to order up masters of whisperers, laws, and war also doesn't preview a peaceful reign, especially since he's more concerned with that and finding Reed killing Drogon than making sure his subjects are fed. What if, Game of Thrones is streaming on HBO Go and HBO Now? Related video. This is everything we know about the Game of Thrones prequel via BUZZ60.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.